Day one of NFL free agency did not disappoint, as there's many different signings, many trades, and there's going to be a lot of new faces entering this NFL season. As today, deals will get finalized by 3 o'clock. The Dallas Cowboys were the only team to not make a move the very first day of free agency. Surprising? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to go over that today and talk about free agency and see what's been wrapping up this week. That's what we will get into today on Cooper Sports Podcast. And you're now listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Cooper Burks, bringing you the best content from the NBA and NFL right here on Spotify and YouTube. Thank you for listening. Guys, what a week for the NFL, man. I mean, goodness. Day one of free agency, it's popping off this week. I mean, Monday alone was just too much to grasp. I mean, for me and probably for everybody keeping up with it. Yesterday was pretty... It was okay. There was a couple big signings, but not as much as Monday's. I mean, good gosh. Yeah, we're gonna get into what's been going on with free agency and what are some big updates and what's been going on. We're also gonna get into the Cowboys. You know, the Cowboys were the only team to not make a move free agency the very first day, which was on Monday. At the time of recording, it's Wednesday morning right now. But they're the only team that didn't make a move yesterday or the first day of free agency. So tough luck for them. This is not surprising, but we'll get into that and also some other things. The playoffs were officially almost a month out. Yeah, we're officially a month out for the playoffs starting. The play-in races are heating up, so glad I point that out. But today we're going to just focus on the NFL free agency, then I'll come back with the NBA episode next episode. But so let's get started. Good goodness. I mean, what a way to start off on Monday in a spring break, guys. I mean, you had players flying around different teams at every second of the way. Every time you look up at your phone, ESPN notification. That's how it felt for me on Monday. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to talk about all this for the next episode. But, yeah, it was straightforward. I'm not going to go over every single little signing, but I'm going to just basically talk about the big ones. Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants, he finally got out of there. He's going to be signing a 3-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's pretty rough. He signed with the what is it? He signed with the rival within the division. How often does that ever happen when they sign with a rival within their division? And Giants fans let him have it. They let him know too. But I mean, it's a pretty good deal. I'm glad that Saquon got out of New York because let's be honest, they weren't treating him well anyway with that money. They gave all of his money to a not so good actually terrible quarterback in Daniel Jones, who is not even relevant at all. Never was. And then he goes out with his injury, and now you're like, well, what the heck? You just gave all of our money. Saquon's over here playing on a franchise tenure. Like, dude, it just was not good. They were never going to pay him, I don't think. It just wasn't the right point, so he had to go. I was preaching that he needed to get out of there and go somewhere else. The Giants got to explode. They've had a couple new additions, though. The Giants got Brian Burns and Xavier McKinney went to the Green Bay. Never mind. But anyway, still, it's pretty it was in the moment there, so I'm happy for Saquon that he got out. Now, does this make the Eagles huge contenders or at least a chance to win the NFC East this year? Honestly, guys, if I'm theoretically speaking, I don't think that this Saquon move really benefit. I don't think it makes them real good contenders. I mean, of course they're contenders because they're the Eagles. They've been playing good football, but if you guys remember that stint they had at the end of this season, we know how good it was. And it wasn't their offense that was the issue, it was the defense. So yeah, you might have added a powerhouse in Saquon Barkley because you lost DeAndre Swift, so now you have a young quarterback or a young running back and quarterback that you can work with. But you also got issues, Philadelphia, on your defensive side. I mean, if you keep up that same defensive energy like you had last year when guys went on that 11-6 stint, they were 10-1, and then they fell and lost their last 5 out of 6, 5 out of 6. So if Philadelphia doesn't fix his defense in any shape, way, or form, they're going to be giving up a lot of games and start losing. So I don't think it bumps up their contention to be even more than what it already is. But the Saquon signing definitely helps them out a lot more because if Saquon Barkley can get healthy off of that ACL tear that he's been dealing with these past couple of years, I think they'll be perfectly fine. You have Jalen Hurts, so that takes a little bit of pressure off of him with running the ball. I'm sure Nick Sirianni is going to still want to run some options with him, but it still gives him a chance to let off the hook a little bit and give Saquon the ball more with the run game, and Jalen can focus on the pass game. So the offense is okay. They lost Jason Kelce, as I mentioned in the last episode. Jason Kelce is officially retired from the NFL, so his tenure with the Eagles is over. So they got some work to do around the line, but they got Lane Johnson back, I believe, so that's a good addition, and Landon Dickerson, but we'll see what happens. And then Fletcher Cox on the defensive side just retired, but we all knew that was coming. He didn't have much left in him. That's why I don't know how he does it, man. He every time in the draft is always a defensive player. It's always a Georgia Bulldog. So we'll see what he has in the bag this draft. But yeah, Philadelphia. They're in good hands on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to the defensive line because they could stop the run game, but it's just the passing game that they got to fix. They did sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. He went to the Lions last year after they lost the Super Bowl that previous season, and he played with the Lions this year. He went into the NFC Championship game, so he made it back-to-back years, but I guess I don't know what caused it, but maybe he just wanted to go back to Philly. So, but yeah, we'll see how the Saquon signing works. It will work, I think, but it has to work to an extent where it has to be every game he's pounding the ball, running it, and getting the carry loads that he has. Saquon's numbers on average when he's healthy are pretty good. He could give you a 100-yard game, and his power to run the ball and get room is pretty incredible, and I like seeing that from him. So I think it will work for him. I like that he's out of New York now, so I've already mentioned that, but I like him seeing with the new team, the new face. But we'll that was a good signing right there. And then there's so much other more. Derrick Henry announced yesterday he's going to. I'm losing my mind here. There's like too many signings going on. I can't even remember in my own head where each player went. Derrick Henry is going to be signing with the Baltimore Ravens on a 2-year deal, I believe. So yeah, that's a pretty good run for him. And you know, as a Cowboys fan, it hurts seeing all these big names go to waste every year. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fun. It's fun to witness that every year. Jerry Jones just loves to screw us over on that one. Speaking of the Cowboys, that's another big move that happened the first day of free agency. Cowboys running back Tony Pollard will not be returning with us next season. He will be the running back for the Tennessee Titans. That is right. Tony Pollard took a 3-year deal. I forgot what the money count was, but he took a 3-year guarantee deal on the Tennessee Titans, and he will be their running back into the future. How I feel about this, it sucks knowing that we weren't able to keep him or at least just give him a pay cut of some sort. But it sucks because we asked of him too much this season. I believe people weren't giving him the chance. They're like, oh my gosh. He was supposed to be the Rock, the guy that got everything done this season, and I feel like they asked of him too much because I mean he's coming off that injury, and everybody, like I just mentioned, they're like, oh my gosh, like Tony Pollard is supposed to be the guy that carries the rock. He's supposed to be the up one. He's the starting running back, and he wasn't able to get much done. And that's the thing that kind of made me mad. I was like, well, hold on. He's coming off of that injury that he had the previous year in the divisional round against the 49ers. And it kind of banged him up a little bit. I mean, it was the same thing that happened with Zeke. Zeke banged up his knee pretty bad for a couple years, and then he wasn't able to get back to his same self like he was in his final moments with his final stint with the Dallas Cowboys. But that's not the reason why we let him go. But it's just it sucks to see him go because of how young he could have easily worked in our system if we just gave him another year and some more time to get healthy, because he was going to get even healthier this season just because from bouncing off of that previous season where he wasn't able to get much done. But So that's one Cowboy that goes away. There's multiple other Cowboys that went away too. Tyler BDosh, our center, gets her where he went. He's following in Dan Quinn's footsteps and going to the freaking Washington Commanders. Dorrance Armstrong, a very young, talented guy that we worked around a lot on defense. He's out. I forgot who else was out, but there's like 2 or 3 Cowboy players going to the same exact team, and they're all with Dan Quinn. And it's sickening and sucks to see that because Jerry knows what's going on. He sees what's going on behind the scenes and everything. He's like, oh, y'all can just go. I don't care. I mean, it's rough. I mean, okay, I'm going to stay on course but stay off course. But since I'm talking about Tony Pollard, I might as well just go ahead and start talking about the Cowboys now. So, as we know, the Cowboys didn't make any free agency moves the very first day of the free agency. Is this news to anybody at all? Heck no, it's not. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are always known. That Cowboys front office is always known not to make a big splash move in free agency. Last year, they redeemed themselves. Last year, they freaking redeemed themselves when they re-signed. Traded Stephon Gilmore from the Indianapolis Colts. So that was a big move. I mean, Stephon did help out a little bit in our pass game as a cornerback because, we got him and we were expecting Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, and Stephon Gilmore, the 3-headed monsters, to go off last year. And unfortunately, Trayvon Diggs went down with that ACL tear, so Stephon was able to step up, and he did pretty good. He had a fair season, I'll give him that. Not his best, but when he was in his prime, he was a lot better. But I'll give him this year with us a pretty good one. But anyway, it's like they made a good move last year with that. Okay, yeah, now we're into this year. Can you do it again? No, they've unsuccessfully done that so far. It's still free agency. I think there's still some pretty good names that we can go out there and get. But every time I just look up on my phone and see big names like Derrick Henry, Saquon, gone. It's like, dude, Jerry, Steven, what are we doing? But the issue is as to why people were wondering, oh my gosh, why didn't you sign Saquon? Why didn't you sign Derrick? Guys, the Cowboys have their own mess to deal with already. According to the Over the Cap website, I'm sure this is everywhere. It's the cap space website I use to look up each team's NFL cap space. Guys, the Cowboys are $2 million at the cap space. So they're barely just about to hit that understride. The only reason they're at $2 million now is because they've made a couple adjustments so far and reconstructed a couple contracts. I think they reconstructed Dak's contract again, I don't remember if that's whose it was. But then they also reconstructed Zach Martin's deal with 12 million years. I think so. I think they reconstructed it for 12 million, so we were able to get over the cap or under, whatever you want to say it is. We were under the cap space, so we're not in the negatives anymore. We're in the positives. But it's $2 million, and if you guys know anything about being at $2 million at the cap space, that's right there at the edge. You can't do much with $2 million. All right, you sign Derrick Henry or somebody else to a big deal like that. We're going back over, and we just can't do that. And then there's all the talk about Dak Prescott having his contract re-signing a new contract and everything, and how everybody want to get it done, but nothing has been able to get it done. I say don't get it done. All right, here's what I'm going to say about this. I say don't get the deal done and see what happens. All right. Now here's the thing. Let me clear some things up here. All right. I don't hate Dak Prescott. I think he's been a good quarterback, and on average, solid quarterback for us for that past 8 years. He's had his years, all right? I think this year was a good year for him, especially after coming off that interception year where he came off the banged-up thumb or finger injury, and he just went on an interception fiesta every week. But this year he was able to be fully healthy, and he went out and stood to his word on the interceptions. And he had a good 8-year season with us in the regular season run. Now, Dak Prescott can be good in September, October, November, December. Oh boy. But when it gets to January, Dak Prescott is a whole other breed. And it just depends on where you got to catch him. It's every year, and every time we get to the playoffs, Dak Prescott folds under pressure. It's not just him. I'm not going to give him the blame. It's also our defense. Our defense coughed up a lot in that Green Bay Packers game. But we're talking about Dak here. Dak Prescott has unsuccessfully in the playoffs getting us to where we need to get. The year before, we beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, it's Tampa Bay. They were. I mean, we won a playoff game. Dak had an incredible 5-touchdown game. But then when he got to the next week against the San Francisco 49ers, he didn't play his best game after just dog walking the San Francisco or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So in the end, it's like, well, listen, it's like, Dak, we can give you this extension, pal, and we're more than gladly to, but can you give us some more playoff wins and some more chances? Dak Prescott only has 2 playoff wins under his belt with his 9 years with the Cowboys done. Going into this season will be his 9th year. So if I'm Jerry Steven, I'm sitting there like, yeah, you've gotten us really good in the regular season. You've been productive all year. You've been great. But when it comes to the playoffs, man, I mean, dude, you're just not able to deliver. And that's what makes it important, is because the quarterback has to deliver. The quarterback is mainly your source to get where you need to be. I mean, by golly, you look at Patrick Mahomes. He's already gotten 2 Super Bowl wins in a row, and he doesn't even have the best roster when it comes to productive offenses. I mean, they have receivers that have, how do I name this correctly? They have no-name receivers almost, but they're able to be productive. I mean, Travis Kelce is like his only lethal weapon. But then you have Kadarius Toney, which I don't want to get into him. You have McCole Hardman, who came back. You got Sky Moore. Those guys, they're under the belt, but they're able to be productive. And they were able to work within the Kansas City and Andy Reid's offense, and they were able to get it done. That's Patrick Mahomes for you. Josh Allen has been to the playoffs numerous times. Hasn't been to a Super Bowl, obviously, but you've seen what he's done in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, okay, Lamar's been out, so he's kind of like Dak. He has the same amount of playoff wins as him. But anyway, those are just some examples. So, Dak, why should I give you this money and be more lean with you when you haven't asked what you were supposed to do in the playoffs? You know what I mean? So that's just that. So, and now, I don't know if any of y'all know this, but Dak Prescott's cap hit for this coming up season, or I think it's this offseason, I don't remember which year it was, if it's his final year. Guys, Dak Prescott's cap hit right now is at $59 million. If we can somehow reconstructure that, or we could even trade him or release him, but you know Jerry's not going to do that. That will save up a lot of money. So, Jerry, don't sit there and be like, okay, well, I need to give my quarterback his money right now. Don't give him some bum 5-year deal in which he's not. You need to not give him a deal this year and make him fold under pressure this year. What I mean by that is, don't give him his money this offseason. All right, because if you give it to him this year, he's going to be like, oh, Jerry gave me another 3 to 4 years. Ha, ha, ha. I don't have to do jack horse crap again next year. No, that's not. No. Don't give him his money this offseason. Let him run out his last year of the contract. You know who else is on their last year of the contract, guys? Mike McCarthy. So if this doesn't work out again, I say you blow the whole team up this year and restart fresh. And figure out something, because not only do you have a quarterback to possibly play, you have CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, who just picked up his 5th year. You signed Trayvon Diggs, but he got his 5-year deal last offseason, so you don't have to worry about him. But I guarantee you they're going to reconstruct his contract. I guarantee you. Michael Gallup, I think it's time for him to go. I've said it for a while now. I think it's time for him to go. You still got to pay. You still got a buttload of players to pay in the free agency, which we've lost like 4 of them already to free agency, so they're gone. We don't have to worry about them. Tyron Smith is still the lead issue. Do you want to give him back, or do you want to just let him walk? So the Cowboys have lost more than they have gained this offseason. And so it's sickening every year, because we're always in this issue with cap space money. We can't get anybody signed from anywhere, whether it's our own players or from the free agency market. We can never get anything done because Jerry Jones' greedy self and his little son don't want to go out and test the market and see what they can get, and they can't even sign their own players back. So until we get new management, until the Dallas Cowboys get new management, I don't see them at all getting big names in the free agency. I don't see them making big moves like that ever again. So it sucks, I know, but being a Cowboys fan, there's good things to it, but it benefits. When it comes to financial stuff and all that, they suck at it. I'm just going to say it. They might be the top paid franchise in all of sports, but when it comes to handling how to deal with your players, Jerry Jones is not know what he's doing. All right, so it's sickening knowing that you see all these names fly by you, and Jerry Jones just stares at his phone like, "Oh, nice, he's got signed. Nice, he got signed." Like, dude, Jerry, wake up! All right, goodness, pull another Herschel Walker trade and get us what we needed too. Jeez, man, come on. But anyway, that's it about the Cowboys. I just wanted to shift the focus onto this since I was already talking about Tony Pollard. I didn't have to come back and talk about it, but it sucks. So I'll talk about them more down the road again. More this offseason, of course, because I love talking about them because they're my team. But I'll make them a separate episode for them. So anyway, Kirk Cousins making a move himself. He is with a new team now, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins will be signing a 4-year, $100 million guaranteed deal with the Atlanta Falcons. Ooh. Oh, Kirk Cousins to Atlanta? What? I mean, I didn't see him leaving. Like, I thought he would stay with what do you call it, the Vikings. I didn't think he'd move on, but at the same time, it's like Kirk's days with Minnesota, you could tell were probably coming because you think they would. They kept just paying him and paying him and paying him, and you think, well, finally they would stop and not give him any more money. But in the end, Kirk gambled his decision with moving on and testing out the free agency market. And shoot, he worked out a good deal with the Atlanta Falcons. The long run, how does this work for them? I mean, I see it working, but we know, of course, Kirk Cousins is. Alexa, how old is Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins is 35 years old and was born on August 19th.
Okay, Alexa, stop. Yeah, I just did that. But so as the robot said, Kirk Cousins is 35 years old. So at the end of his deal, he'll be 39, 40 years old. So we'll see how well this works out for both of them, both sides long term. You had Desmond Ridder, who was doing an okay job, but was he really going to be the long-term quarterback forever? I don't think so. So the Atlanta Falcons have weapons to use. It's just that Arthur Smith, their dang head coach, didn't know what the heck to do. And so he wasn't able to be productive enough with his players, and that's why his butt got fired and sent outside somewhere else, which is I'm glad they got rid of him because his coaching was awful. You got Bijan Robinson, Desmond Ridder, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and he couldn't use any of those suckers. And now Kirk Cousins is at home, and now it's not going to be weapons just like in Minnesota because you got Justin Jefferson. So it's a whole new different stage and look with his weapons, but he has reliable ones. He has a young receiving core that he can take care of and a very young running back that can easily just pop off whatever. So honestly, how I feel about the move, I like it. But as far as when it comes to long term, how long can he keep it up? And can he play football until he's at least 40 and finish up his deal and maybe retire? But I don't know. We'll see. Guys, there's a lot of new faces coming around this league for these past few days. I mean, it's going to be crazy. As I mentioned, Derrick Henry signing with the Ravens. That will work because we know how Lamar Jackson has been when it comes to him with running the ball in the run game. They rely on him a lot more to run it when they have Kenyon Drake and Gus Edwards, of course. But I think it takes a lot of pressure off Lamar because you don't have to use the system around him as much to rely on your run game a lot more. Derrick Henry will just bulldozer through anybody. I don't care who it is. But he's got to play TJ Watt now. And not Patrick Queen. I forgot who, but he's got to play TJ Watt now twice every year. And TJ Watt is known to be a good run stopper. So we'll see how this works. The Ravens still got to figure out if they want to sign OBJ or not. So Lamar gained a weapon, but he could also lose a weapon. So we'll see how that goes. I like it. Derrick Henry we all knew Derrick Henry was going to leave, of course, because of how he gave his speech at the end of the Titans final game. You don't give a speech like that and not leave the franchise and come back. So we all knew that was coming. It's going to be fun to see how that works. Maybe Derrick Henry can he'll definitely boost their run game if he could stay healthy. And if John Harbaugh, Jim or John, I don't remember which one is which, but one of the Harbaugh coach And his offense will hopefully work around him more to get him the carries, and it will take the pressure off Lamar Jackson not to run the ball so dang much efficiently, which he's already good. Which they're still probably going to use him a lot on the read options, but still, Derrick Henry will be the force to be reckoned. So we'll see how that works. He could have been a Cowboy. Should have been a Cowboy. Toby Smith or Toby Keith, R.I.P. But he wasn't, and it sucks. As I mentioned, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, they just don't like to, when it comes to big moves and being asked to make a big move with the free agency, they're like, oh, no. We want to stay. And by the way, Jerry Jones quotes was saying, we're going to be all in this year. Jerry, this doesn't look like being all in. The only move that you made this offseason was signing your place kicker back. Yeah, that sounds like an all-in move to me, an all-in. Speaking of all-in, if you haven't seen Skip Bayless... Oh my gosh! Skip Bayless is the funniest guy. Like, oh my gosh. When it comes to tweeting stuff, he does not know how to correctly quote words or use them in a way that makes sense. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out Skip Bayless' Twitter. I'm not even going to talk about it. You'll see it for yourself when you see it. But anyway, good gosh. Anyway, so back to the point with the Derrick Henry. It's going to be good. Derrick Henry has put up monster numbers. He's a 1,000-yard rusher every season. So, and he can be a quarterback. We've seen him throw the ball, but Derrick Henry's going to boost some energy and alignment into this Ravens offense and hopefully get him going to where they need to be. They made the AFC Championship, and of course they fell short to the Kansas City Chiefs. But if they can just get that one more punch in, they'll be fine. But anyway, some other big moves. Joe Mixon has been traded to the Houston Texans. The Bengals are kind of in a naggy headbutt situation right now. They also they might potentially lose T. Higgins as well. As we all know, T. Higgins was up for a contract deal, and he was going to be one of the players that got franchise tagged. And they used their tag. The Bengals used their franchise tag last month on T. Higgins. And what the tag does is it gives you a chance to hold out for a year, and you can the team can work on a contract to get you on, and they can focus on giving you a contract and your money, and they can just hold you for a year. So that way you're not, because with the franchise teams aren't allowed to sign you or ask for a trade, or they can, but I forgot how that part works. But basically, you're the rightful owner of the team now that you got tagged by, and you can stay with it. And then the news breaks on Monday that he wants an official trade now, and he's upset about the current ongoing contract negotiations with the Bengals. How I feel about that? I can see his point. I mean, T. Higgins is a baller. He can definitely play football. We've seen him when Joe Burrow's healthy. T. Higgins can definitely be a reliable number 2 option when it comes to getting pressure off Ja'Marr Chase, because Ja'Marr Chase is obviously the clear number 1 for the Bengals. It's just who's their number 2, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. I think he could be T. Higgins. And when Ja'Marr Chase is out and not playing and having a good game, who else can you look for? T. Higgins. So I could see his point there. Wanting a trade deadline right after being tagged, wanting to be traded after being tagged, I don't know. I mean, that franchise tag guarantees you a year at least, so if you can't... But actually, hold on. In July, there is a deadline where teams have to, if they want to... Actually, hold on. I misinterpreted that totally wrong. So in July, sometime in the summer, basically, what it does is the tag holds you for that session, and you have until like July to work out a contract. And if you don't work out a contract for that player that's been tagged on your team, then they have to play that season on the tag, and then they'll be free. They'll be a free agent the next season if you don't work out a contract. So that's the deadline that they have to work with. So I can see what T. Higgins is upset about. See, now I understand it now, because this happened with Dak a few years ago. People were upset about it. But anyway, I could see T. Higgins' point here. It's very upsetting. So that's what I mean by the Bengals might lose some options here. And if Joe Burrow doesn't come back strong and healthy as he did. Now, of course, he's not going to be 100% next season all the way through, but if he doesn't at least get something accomplished and Jamar Chase gets angry and Joe Burrow's getting hurt, I don't know, the Bengals could blow this team up. But it sucks because they're a good team. They just went to the bowl 2 years ago, but they blew it, or they didn't blow it, but they lost it because they didn't have an efficient offensive line. That was the only thing that lost them on that final play. Jamar Chase was wide open too. He would have taken that sucker to the house. The Bengals would have won their Super Bowl. But anyway, by that, we'll see what happens because things are starting to get heated up. As far as moves go this morning and this afternoon, I haven't seen much. I did see Eric Kendricks from the Chargers, though, get signed to the 49ers. And the Chargers, I found this post. I was looking up the free agency tracker, and I have it pulled up right here on ESPN.com. It was just a tracker of every single move that's happened so far for the NFL free agency for this past week. And guys, the Chargers are in big trouble. And I mean, when I mean they're in trouble because hold on, I just had it right here. I don't know where it went. Like I have the ESPN website pulled up, so bear with me here. I literally just had it. Like, it's a free agency tracker and everything. Like, oh my gosh, this is me being unprepared. Okay, here it is. Okay, Adam Schefter was tweeting this earlier. Okay, so Adam Schefter tweets, with the Chargers currently projected to be $25 million over the salary cap, they are expected to release or trade at least one, if not more, of the players on the list. Big Charger moves coming by 3 o'clock today. And this was tweeted by Jason OTC. Jason, I forgot his last name. Khalil Mack. Salary cap charge, $38 million. Joey Bosa, $36 million. Keenan Allen, $34 million. Mike Williams, $32 million. So, talk about being over the cap. Guys, the Chargers are going to have to. That's a big loss for them. I mean, goodness, they're about to lose their top 2 pass rushers on the team. They're about to lose one of their most reliable weapons, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams is going to be out too, which he's a weapon to look for on that team. But Herbert's about to lose 2 of his weapons possibly, and with his new head coach, John Harbaugh. Okay, John is the one that came from Michigan. Okay, I get their names confused, but Jim's the Ravens head coach. John's the current head coach of the Chargers. But anyway, the Chargers are about to be suffering big time. You're about to lose. Who is Justin Herbert going to have to look to now for weapons? I mean, goodness, you're about to lose 2 of them. I mean, he's such a young guy that can get things done, but the Chargers have been so bad with their coaching that Brandon Staley literally just screwed that team over this last season. Khalil Mack, they got him in a trade a couple free agencies ago, a couple years ago. He's going to be out, possibly. So there's going to be moves made by 3 o'clock today, and the Chargers might lose, like, almost everything. So that's a lot of money that was paid for these guys. Joey Bosa has been a reliable guy for them. And I swear to gosh, if Joey Bosa gets released and the 49ers somehow take interest in Joey Bosa and get him and his brother on the same exact team, I'm going to lose my mind because there's no way the 49ers have this much money with the moves that they've been making the past 2 years. They just signed Trent Williams to a 5-year deal. How can they do... I don't understand how they've been able to do all of that with the cap space that they've had. They signed Debo to a 4 or 5-year deal a couple of years ago. I'm sure they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy soon. Oh, wait, hold on. No, Brock Purdy's on his rookie contract. Never mind. But it's like, where are they getting this money from? It's like with Los Angeles. Where are they getting all this money from? Like, I don't know. So we'll see. The Chargers are about to get blown up as far as like releasing everybody, but it just sucks for them because I look up to that team. I like watching them play. They're very young. Squad. So we'll see how it works. But as far as free agency goes, that's all I got. I'm trying to think of any other big names that might have been signed. But again, the Brian Burns got traded. Josh Jacobs is going to be in Green Bay now with Jordan Love, and the Packers they let go of Aaron Jones. So Aaron Jones took the pay cut last year, but they're not going to keep him this year. They were talking about contract negotiations with Aaron Jones, and then Aaron Jones or somebody, they finally just stopped talking and said, all right, we're not going to do anything with you. So they released him, and that's where Josh Jacobs came in. Josh Jacobs and the Raiders being released, it could work with him because now the Packers have two young stars, Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, and I think they could be a good force on the offense. We saw how Jordan Love picked apart the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. So if he can keep that up with the season that he had this year, I think he can do good with the Josh Jacobs pound and ground. Christian Wilkins of the Miami Dolphins signed with the Raiders. That's a huge loss for Miami. But they did sign Shaquille Barnett or Shaquille Leonard. I don't know which one that was. Because they now have Bradley Chubb out. You just lost Bradley Chubb's going to be out with an ACL tear. We know that. Christian Wilkins is going to be with the Raiders, and so he's going to be with Max Crosby. That should be good. But it's Miami just lost a big one there. With the pass rushes issues that they have with being with injuries, it just sucks for them. And to let Christian Wilkins go like that on a 5-year deal to the Raiders is not a good look for him. That's when they brought in Shaquille Barnett so that he could I forgot which one it was that they brought in, but to bring him in so that way they could just on a 1-year deal to at least Chubb, and they can find another pass rusher or two to get going so they can get back to that defense. But overall, pretty good day, pretty good 2 days. We'll see what happens this third day. Again, I don't expect the Cowboys to do anything. We rely on the draft too. The draft is coming up next month, and I'll get into that more down the road. But so that's going to wrap up today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I got another episode, at least one episode in. So I've been talking to some people, some friends of mine, and I might be bringing them all onto the show. We might talk about different things. We'll talk about the playoffs, of course, because the playoffs are really right around the corner. And we'll talk about the NFL and this and that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and follow on Spotify and YouTube. Please keep sharing this podcast. I've been hearing good reviews back from it. So, you guys have a great day, and I will see you all next episode.